Yeah. Welcome everyone to a special edition of Clobberin Times Wild Card Wednesday night. This is Clobby coming at you from the corner in the Spinnerack Time Machine. My good friends, it's great to see you. Great to see you. It is, of course, Clobberin Times on YouTube, 216, but on overall in perpetuity, I should say, 916. And with a little bit of special something I'm going to do once a month, a wrap up of the September Clobby'S Comics Corner stream. A little bit of, just talking some comics because that's what I love to do here. So before I get with that, though, let me say some hellos to fantastic friends who are already here with us tonight. And of course, those fantastic friends would be the great Steve Mitchum. Bro, what's up? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Phantom Outsider. What's up, buddy? Always great to see you, man. D-Bud, buddy. Always a pleasure. Hey, Hungry Boy. Hungry Boy. All right. Zax. Hello, Zax. Thanks for joining me, man. Good to see you. The great Chris Persia. What's up, bro? It's always a pleasure, Chris. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you. Oh, that's right, Phantom. I guess so. I guess that's true. 85 till we get to the 1,000er. Yeah. So, welcome everyone. Great to see you here tonight. Great to see you. What was it? What? Oh, forgot to load one of my picks that I needed to load. But anyway, while I'm doing that, I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Just been a crazy week. I think I've done so much streaming this past few days, except for. Actually, yesterday was the first day in a while I haven't done any streaming. I think I did. Did I? No, I can't even remember. Maybe I did. I just have lost track. I've done so much of it. But you know what? It's because I love it. I do. And I love being here. And I want to thank everyone who joined us Monday night. Joined me and my good buddy, the great Mark D with the C, for our Marvel 2-in-1 get together the other night. That was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I'm just so grateful to all of you who joined us. Absolutely. So, let's see who else has popped in. Let's see here. All right. Let's make sure see if anyone else had popped in because I had to take my eyes off. Oh, there he is. Look at Pat S. What's up, dude? Pat S., good to see you, man. Always good to see you, my friend. Yes. Before I get to talk a little bit more in detail about Clobby'S Comics Corner, I should do a show note here or two. Again, just having a wonderful time talking about the comic book team-ups. The first week, of course, was World's Finest, even though it was just me doing it because Carlos could not make it. However, my good buddy Carlos did join me for the second week, doing them in chronological order. The Brave and the Bold, and we had a good time doing that. Just a marvelous time. Doing the next week with Marvel 2-in-1 with my good buddy Flash and, of course, the great Mark D with the C. And this past Monday night, Marvel 2-in-1, and had a blast doing that with Mark D with the C. I think we both had a good time, and I know I did, and I appreciate him hanging out with me for that, and appreciate all who hung out with us for that, of course. And I want to Gomer Kyle, thank you so much for that $5 super chat. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you. I appreciate you for the for the great content. Thanks, Clobby. No, thank you for being here. I am honored. I cannot even express myself how honored I am to get that from you, to have you say that. And I thank you so much. And we will finish this series, this 5-part series on Clobberin Times next Monday night. Now, it will be this coming Monday. It will be on a special time. It will be 7 p.m. Eastern. So that means 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for myself here in the Central Time Zone, but it will be 7 p.m. Eastern. And hanging out with me will be my great buddy J-Man. The great J-Man himself will be hanging out with me to talk some DC Comics Presents, the 5th of the big superhero team-up books. And I'm looking forward to that because I just have a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun hanging out with J-Man a few weeks ago on my channel, and then this past weekend on his great channel. Yep, that is an early time, but we wanted to get it out there and get it recorded because J-Man is definitely has work and things like that. So he is worth the special time because he is a great fellow and he was nice enough to have me on his channel. And J-Man, dude, I really had a great time hanging out with you and your friends. Sean, and I believe it was Sean, and I believe it was Steven. Big shout out to those guys. You got some great pals there, partner, and they love comics and really know their stuff. And it was just a delight hanging out with all three of you. And I hope we get to do it again sometimes. And I hope I'd like to get you on again, of course. And I'd love to have those guys on as well. They love comics and they know comics, and they're spiffing gentlemen. But yeah, and I know you get up early, so I have no problem. It'll be just a special time, everyone. We'll get it back to the normal time, or I don't know. I might even start moving the Monday night or time back to even later than I usually am doing it. But it'll be special because J-Man is special, and I want to hang out with him and talk some DC Presents. So, hey, the Catman D.D. Myers, what's up, bud? Good to see you there. Thank you for popping in. It's good to see you. And of course, saturated. Well, tomorrow will be the Global Geek Gang. We shall gather. I'm not sure exactly what we'll do, but we'll do something. We will hang. That's for sure. And Saturday night, my wonderful, magnificent, beautiful first officer, number one, and I, Raquel Briggs, will start in our ongoing mission of reviewing all of real Star Trek. So starts another leg in the journey. Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3 begins this next Saturday night with 4 episodes. And I am, of course, looking forward to that because, what a great crowd we always get when we do this show. So, yeah, it's we got through those first 2 seasons. Can you believe it? Wow. Oh, boy. We did it. All of us together. We pulled together as the greatest crew in the fleet. And we made it so. We got through those first 2 seasons. The miracle seasons, because it's a miracle the show lasted beyond them. So it did, and there you go. And J-Man says, there you go, I got you. Well, you have a great rest of the night there, J-Man. I appreciate you, and thank you so much. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, so the Global Geek Gang shall gather tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's see what else we got going on. Okay, that's about all for the show notes. Today, my 5th. Let me say it's the 5th, yes. But I mean, even though it's not technically October, I started off the month of October on the Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine. And so that video dropped tomorrow. There will be hopefully tomorrow, the next day, hopefully tomorrow, the follow-up video, the Clobby'S Quick Bits wrap-up video of that will be done. I'll be able to get that done tomorrow, I hope. If not, it'll be Friday, but that'll be because even though it's technically not October, that's still the October video there. But as you know, I've been doing these videos, and they're relatively short, or certainly short compared to obviously short compared to a stream. And so I thought what I would do is, and I'm gonna switch things out, shuffle things around a little bit after we get, because usually I want to do it on the comics night, but I've been doing this 5-part series that you all know about. So tonight is what I'm going to call every month after 4 segments are done of the Clobby'S Comics Corner videos, and there's a link in my description below to the playlist of all the Clobby'S Comics Corner videos. And there should be anyway. Well, there was one. I'll have to get that back up there. I could have swore I put it in there. Huh. Well, I'll get that link in there as soon as I can. In the meantime, it's on the page. I could have swore I put that thing in there. Anyway. Well, that pisses me off. Could have swore I had that thing. All right. So anyway, where were I? Oh, yeah. So this is just a stream to kind of talk a little bit about those videos a little bit more in depth and cover them a little bit more. Because, you know, just in case there's anything that may have missed talking about in the videos and in the follow-up quick bits videos that I do after that. Captain Deckard Spock, what's up, bro? It's good to see you, sir. You get around, man. I know you were on our buddy Cardinal Sin's channel tonight and doing for tonight for you, I guess. Your prisoner show. You know, I am not a number. I am a free man, and I love it. And of course, you were over on your own show tonight. Of course, I guess tonight to me, maybe daytime to you. I'm not sure, but. And I'm seeing you pop in here, and it is always an honor to have you, sir. So thank you for popping in, the great Captain Deckard Spock. Oh, Hungry Boy, don't worry about it, man. The video will be up there forever, but I'm just glad to see you. And what I'll do is I'm not going to recap that video because that's the one that just dropped today, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I did for the month of September. Now, again, when I first came up with this idea, I've always, you know, I just love the Bronze Age of comics. You know, it just means so much to me. And I just went ahead and I picked 50 years, you know, 50 years as of September. Good, nice round number. And went with September. It's just kind of no serious science or deep thought went into choosing September of 1971. I'm just a Bronze Age baby, and that's close enough to the beginning of the Bronze Age, which of course begins with Kirby leaving Marvel in 1970. But that's just as close. Hey, Chris Percy, you didn't have to do that. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, though. Thank you so much. I could have swore I put it in my links. In my description below. Thank you so much. Chris Percy put that in the chat. Dude, I appreciate you, man. You're too good to me, man, and it's always good to see you. But yes, that's the link to the to all of the Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine videos. So what I did is I went back, and again, we have a TARDIS. Instead of it being stuck in the shape of a police call box from the early days out in the UK, the Chameleon Circuit from this particular Time Lord, who was apparently a comic book collector, or maybe he just stopped off at a 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee, and the Chameleon Circuit assumed the shape of the form as a Chameleon Circuit is supposed to be doing of a comic book spinner rack. And then, of course, I stole it from him, and I created my TARDIS, my spinner rack time machine. I was only 7 years old when these comics came out in 1971, and yes, I'm old, but even I was a kid one day, and so. This comic shop allows my 2021 self to go in each week, as many are often want to do, to go get their new comics every week on a Wednesday. And it's weird, I know, but I've stopped buying new comics over 10 years ago on a regular basis. I pick up something every now and then here and there, but I pretty much stopped buying, new comics. Like I said, I don't buy that, man. I mean, once in a while, I pick one up. Sherry, hello there. Welcome, Sherry. It's good to see you here. Good to see you here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, the great Eric K. What's up, buddy? Eric, great to see you. So with my spinner rack time machine, basically, you have your pull list, and I just, as you all know, I show all the comics that came out that month. You know, of course, like I said, breaking it up in weeks. Just to give you an idea what's out there, how many comics came out there and stuff. And I picked 9 to 10 each week and talk about them a little bit. Whoops. Let's see here. Oops. Got the wrong month on that one. And so what I did basically, what I'm doing with these videos, and I'll just, pop through them really quickly, is week 1 of September. I think I picked 9. I'm going to start picking 10, but it was 9 this time. 9 different titles. Hey, Dark Shadow Logan. And after I get through showing these a little bit, I'll ask you all some questions about. And again, you can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that month of September and see if there's any books that you would pick up that I didn't. But first, and again, I combined like my 1971 7-year-old self sensibilities with the ones I have now, and realized they weren't all that different. Obviously, I'm a lot older. Some of these titles I may not have grabbed back then and didn't, obviously, because it was a lot tougher to get these books, that I would definitely pick up off the rack right now. And here they are. Let's take a look at a little bit of them. Again, recapping in, of course, Magnus Robot Fighter. I used to see Magnus covers on the stands all the time. But I was a kid, and I was just kind of sticking with superheroes and Marvel and DC stuff. I didn't really acquire an appreciation for Magnus till much later. And I actually absolutely, love Magnus. I love the Valiant Magnus of the early 90s, that revival. Such a great, Valiant of the early 90s just kind of was just one of the, I never missed. I just loved it so much. It's so many great titles for a number of years there. I know it was Jim Shooter, but somehow they were great. Hey. And let's see. I didn't buy the Gold Key Star Trek much back then. But of course, what a huge Trek fan I am now, my 2021 self would just never let a Gold Key Star Trek comic go. Look, the Gold Key Trek comics, and they were, I don't know. they were goofy fun, what I'm going to tell you. So now, this is something that dovetails with something that's coming up in October. I love Daredevil. Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, is one of my favorite comic book characters. He's in my top 10. He's just extraordinary. But as many of you know, Eric Kate, thanks for the $5 super chat, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. He says, Clobby loved Captain Cave on the original rock tablet form. That's right. Okay, that was pretty terrible, Captain Caveman. Sorry. But I love Daredevil, always have. And I loved him way before there were, Frank Miller. Look, I did like I love the Miller run. I love his second run. In fact, I think Born Again was even better than his previous run. But the Miller run did change Daredevil forever. Yes, I love this Gil Kane cover. But I kind of lament, as much as what Miller did and what Moore did and some of those other writers did in the early 80s changed comics, and even though they wrote, multiple things can be true at the same time. You could do something really great and it can have bad ramifications. It could have good ones. Something not so good could have good ramifications. That's just life as we know it. And Miller changed the character, but for the first 15 to 16 years, whatever it was before he showed up, The character was a happy-go-lucky Marvel superhero. There was a lot of heart and soul to him, but there was wit. And he had a tumultuous life as a superhero like they all do. But I love Daredevil. So in a couple of weeks in October, I'm going to do a couple of different Daredevil shows, including one that's going to be all about exclusively focusing on the pre-Miller Daredevil. The Daredevil that once was. Maybe I'll call it that. I don't know. Steve Mitchell says, "Oh, well, thank you." And then, Buddy says he hates my Johnny Carson impression. Well, mine is wild, weird stuff, and I'll never do it again. How about that, Ed? Oh, magnificent one, go screw yourself. Ed, you should not talk to me like that. Sorry, Steve, but you make it irresistible. Appreciate it, brother. Miller and Moore could not realize that by letting the dark grit in, they let CW soap opera into. They did a lot. Look, they did a lot of damage. No question about it. Horrible. Wow, my Johnny Carson is horrible. Yeah, there's no pleasing some people. Like I said, yeah, and it's complicated, Deckard, because again, multiple things can be true at the same time. Something can be great even though you wish it wouldn't happen. And got to dig out and reread Daredevil Born Again. So good. Give me a red, Nuke. Yeah. Look, Born Again is a masterpiece. So while I lament the loss of this fun Daredevil, I love what Miller did. I mean, we got a lot of great stories by Alan Moore, some great stories from Frank Miller and other writers, and then it destroyed the art form. Was it worth it? I don't know. I mean, they didn't mean to. Miller never acknowledged it. Moore actually did. So, I don't know. Was it worth it? Was the question. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. How about we celebrate the fun Daredevil, the fun pre-Miller Daredevil, and we'll be dumping on the Miller one because, like I said, I thought it was great. And when the Miller Daredevil hit, I was in my late teens, and that's just the kind of stuff that the kind of edgy stuff that got somebody in their late teens in the early 80s is just going to eat it up. And I did, and I love it. And it's great stuff. And I love the unbelievably harsh, dark, and brutal Daredevil TV series on Netflix, which I just watched again for the first time since it first aired. And I'm going to do a show about, I'm going to do what? I'm going to do Daredevil Light, Daredevil Dark. I'm going to do one show about the pre-Miller Daredevil. Then I'm going to do one show about post-Miller Daredevil. I'm going to talk about, that plus that series. And I'm going to skip a lot of crap that happened in the middle that I don't care about that much. So, the next comic was, a DC special. Big Plastic Man fan here. I'm a big fan of the great Jack Cole. Jack Cole had a very tragic life, but he was just, his images and his crazy imagination to come up with a character like Plastic Man. If you ever read any of the reprints of the Jack Cole stuff, and there are a lot of Jack Cole reprints in this one here, it is just he was extraordinary. Even Thomas Pynchon loved him. Yeah. So anyway, so here you got DC, and I've touched on this many times. At this point in the Bronze Age, there were a lot of reprint books. Both Marvel and DC were heavily engaged in just these reprint things and stuff like that. And I always love these DC specials of various varieties. Yeah, Deckard, I've found that true of myself also, Captain Deckard Spock, is that I was cynical when I was a young adult. I was around 22 or so when Watchmen came out. This became my all-time favorite comic forever. I loved Moore. I was already loving Alan Moore's stuff, and I became a Watchmen freak 2 issues into the series, and it was a series, not a graphic novel. It was a comic book that it was a comic book maxi series. I fell in love with that comic so much that I bought everything there was to do with it, and I even two issues in, I cosplayed Rorschach at Dallas Fantasy Fair. And my friend and I, my friend Claude and I did a performance, and we won the costume contest. So I may be the first person ever to cosplay Rorschach. I was just so into that. And so the dark stuff does appeal to you more when you're younger. And that's human, isn't it? Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean I still don't like any comics that are dark now, but I don't prefer them. If it's a brilliant story and it's a bit dark and it's not destroying or bastardizing a character that I love, I'll still acknowledge it. But now I'm so old, I don't really, I don't get into the dark stuff as much. And I certainly don't like it now, because now it's not even just dark. It's way past that. It's nihilistic, and it's hateful, and it's ugly, most of it, and repugnant. And they can't be, Moore could be brilliant while being dark. Miller could, in a few cases, nowhere near like Moore, could be really good while being dark. Interestingly enough, I think those 66 cartoons, New Adventures of Superman, those Filmation cartoons, D-Bud, were probably my first exposure to Superman. And here we go with the reprints again. Fear, number 6. Yeah. Various Journey into Mystery reprints, Tales to Astonish reprints, a lot of Kirby, Lee, Ditko, Lieber and such. And of course, there's a great Gil Kane cover. But again, this was when, they were both Marvel and DC were starting to feel not a lot of pressure, but there was a lot of combat for rack space, be it not just spinner racks, newsstands, drugstore, racks and things like that. But at this time, you didn't just have Gold Key or Charlton or even Archie or Harvey, or had them, of course, but you had a lot of other you had Atlas was Atlas Seaboard, the second Atlas company. Was really, really, starting to threaten to take up rack space. So Marvel and then DC, because this is a saying I've had for all my life when it comes to comic book, whether it was as a dealer or as a fan, Marvel see, Marvel do. But it's also true that DC see, DC do. It just rolls off better with the Marvel see, Marvel do. And it just simply means if one of the companies is doing something, the other one's going to do it too. They were always like that. That's why they call them the big two. And of course, they're both big pieces of number two, because everything they've gotten, everything national, which later became DC, everything Timely, Atlas, Marvel ever quote unquote, profited by or benefited from, they stole every bit of it. Both companies' histories are steeped in the blood of great creators. They are vampires. Both Marvel and DC historically are vampires. All they are is monstrosities that consume. They're leeches, and they used to chew up and spit out creators. And then of course they went after each other, and they bit into each other's throats forever. But they're the big two, and the way they competed with each other was just to compete, basically. But when they saw everyone else trying to get a piece of the pie and try to sell comics, they went after them, because they knew that, they were going to be they knew the fight was always really going to be between the two of them. And so that's why there were a lot of reprint books. But as a fan, you don't know. You just like seeing, again, and here's another reprint. You just like seeing these great stories. And when you're a kid, you don't know what a reprint is back then. Not really. That's just a great Fantastic Four comic. Marvel Triple Action. And then this one reprints the classics FF 55 and 57. FF 55 has just an extraordinary Kirby Silver Surfer thing battle. It's just amazing. And of course, you know, I always loved the John Buscema run on Thor. Can't go wrong there. Let's see here. This is, of course, we're still in week 1. Another Wonder Woman. This was, even though it was Wonder Woman's regular series, sometimes they would put some reprints in there. You know, Wonder Woman was not the biggest of sellers at the best of times, but they kept trying. And this would have some of those reprints when she was Emma Peel. That is correct, sir. It sure did. Well, yeah, Dark Shadow. I mean, it didn't matter if it was a reprint. I mean, you know, because you were getting to see some great comics. You didn't. I mean, again, kids didn't know. Of course, we didn't know. I love these reprints because it was a couple of more years before I found a comic book store. This was the only way to read those old stories. Oh yeah, no, look, they were useful to fans. They were fantastic. I'm just saying they were created as you know, for cut through purposes, but they served purpose. Like I said, that means good things come from bad things come from good. That's life, isn't it? Crumbs. Now I got Phil Collins in my head. Oh, Superman, where are you now? Oliver Belmonte, what's up? Was it true that Marvel was going to fire Frank Miller if he didn't kill Elektra at the hands of Daredevil's foe Bullseye? Yes. Pretty much. Miller didn't have any power right there at that point. Now, Miller, you know, and I think he was forced to kill Elektra. I mean, is it true? I mean, do I know it's true? Was I there? No, but I think he was forced to kill Elektra. Mark D with the C, what's up, dude? But then again, when he became a superpower in the industry, when he became a quote unquote, remember the term fan favorite? Then in the mid, when he had already gone to DC and made even more of a superstar of himself, not with Ronin, but with you know, his Dark Knight Returns. They let him do Elektra Assassin. So, yeah. Well, Jim Shooter also was the one who killed Phoenix. I mean, they weren't going to kill her. Jim Shooter thought she deserved to die, and because she was killing, and Elektra was killing. So, you know, that's why I tend to believe that was true. Was I there? No. But everything I've read, most of the people who've talked about it said that yes, it was it came down from editorial that he'd, you know. But then again, I've heard Miller say something about he wanted to kill her so he can resurrect her and all this other kind of crap. But I think it was Shooter. Been a long time since I read any of that stuff, and I should know better because, you know, I had all those issues of Comics Journal. Mark D, buddy. And so, yeah, we got your reprint books there. And again, but now we get back to some new material. Well, what? I love this Gil Kane cover on Spider-Man 103. My goodness. In the Savage Land. Yeah. As I was talking about on my video earlier, man, Spidey was blessed with his artists and those, I mean, the first, you know, the big runs of these runs of these creative teams. I mean, you go from Ditko at his finest to Romita, then you got Kane, and you know what? I liked Ross Andrew when I was finally old enough to buy Marvel. He was kind of getting into the Ross Andrew phase, and I loved Ross Andrew. But I love Kane better, of course. And then the last one of that week, of course. Wow, imagine that, the Kree Skrull War starting to heat up right there. You know, it's also true that Neil Adams wouldn't hire Frank Miller for his little group and told him he was no good, by the way. Neil Adams told Frank Miller he had no talent. No, you're right. Jim Shooter was pretty messed up. He was 13 when he first got his first comic book. published when he was writing Legion of Superheroes. Yes, absolutely. Hungry Boy. He did draw them women's, right? By the way, Hungry Boy, I got a story, but I need to correct myself on something. Remember, I told you that Gil Kane didn't like the inking of Rudy Nebres. I got that wrong, but I've heard two stories. He actually loved Rudy Nebres' art on him because he loved anyone that brought something different to his pencils. He hated Joseph Rubinstein's inks on him, so I got him reversed. Gil Kane couldn't stand Joseph Rubinstein, and he was an okay ink. I mean, he was all right, I guess. But he loved Rudy Nebres, and Nebres was one of those guys that really overpowers people with his inks. But like Tom Palmer, seen here inking Adams, by the way. Although Palmer wasn't that bad on Adams early on, I didn't think, but you know. Yeah, Dark Shadow. I love Bronze Age covers so much. We were talking about this a little bit last week. I just adore them. Well, thank you, Eric K. You're too kind, my friend. I'm honored. I appreciate you, buddy. Your Muslim uncle. What's up, bud? I hope you and your wonderful mother are doing well, my friend. It is great to see you. Yeah, Hungry Boy. I got it. I'm just old and senile, and I remember there was a story about inkers, and you know, my friend who told me this, he told me the name, and I just got the names backwards because Nebres inked him on John Carter. So, yeah, I agree. Early Tom Palmer was really great. He kind of got really weird. Yeah, it really looked crazy weird when he was inking John Buscema on the 80s Avengers run there. And when he inked John Byrne, especially when he inked Byrne on that Silver Surfer special. But Byrne loved, again, it shows what I know, Byrne actually liked Palmer on his inks. He even let him, I think, didn't he ink Byrne on the X-Men The Hidden Years as well? So, anyway, Kree Skrull War, classic stuff, folks. Then there was week 2 of September 71 with these fine products. This is a sort of a landmark right here because, as I mentioned in the video, this is the first appearance of the Falcon in his red and white costume before he had that green and gold one or whatever. So this is the first for Falcon's new costume. And again, when I first issue I ever got of Captain America was called Captain America and the Falcon, and it was a Power Records reprint actually. That one's coming up soon, I guess. And I'm going to sit here and agree with my friend Phantom Outsider. Well, this is kind of the case in a lot, very often, but probably no more than in the Bronze Age. Maybe Phantom Outsider, when he says, you know, the reason a Bronze and Silver Age are better is they were trying to sell you what was inside, so the covers needed to convey action, adventure, sense of wonder. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely true, and you know, covers. But sometimes in the Bronze Age, covers did mean something else. They also meant that, hey, we have a, you know, sometimes they were giving the art to lesser individuals, let's say, and they had to have a dynamic cover to try to catch you. And the covers sometimes differed greatly from the art on the interior, as you're well aware, I'm sure. Power Records, Hungry Boy Power Records are how I learned to read, man. That's it. I love them so much. You know, Fantastic Four, Cap, Spider-Man, Hulk, and of course there were DC ones as well, which I loved. There's something about Trimpe inked by a Severin, Marie Severin, or even John Severin. Mostly Marie most of the time. Exactly. Hungry Boy, there's a good point. Great cover. Then Don Perlin interiors. Whoa. Worse than that, Frank Robbins interiors. You know, one thing I've learned about this thing, though, when it comes to, it could be an artist that you and I hate or vice versa. And there's someone out there that if you tell them you hate him, they can't believe, they think he's fantastic. There's a case in point. I never could stand George Tuska. And I'm a buddy, Iron, D-Bud, the man of Iron, is a fan of Tuska. He's, of course, a fan of Iron Man. And there are times, but I think there are times when Tuska, and here's one of the things I did not know. Yeah, Frank Robbins was horrible. I'm sorry. But see, when I was a kid, I didn't know anything about these people. Hey there, Punk Waddle. I didn't know anything about these artists. I picked up something, I looked at it, either liked it or I didn't. Didn't know. I didn't know that was an old man who'd been working his fingers to the bone since the golden age and couldn't really see well or draw very well anymore. But he was getting gigs because he had to. He had no choice. He had to work, and he could produce things quickly and get them to an inker quickly. And Marvel and DC were turning these things out, and they would hire these guys because they at least they were good cartoonists fundamentally, even if you didn't like the way their stuff looked. And I didn't know any of that. All I knew was I would pick up a George Perez Justice League of America cover in the late 70s, early 80s to a Don Heck inside. And Don Heck couldn't draw the same way as he'd had 20-something years earlier or whatever. But I didn't know that. Dark Shadow Logan, I agree. I hated the Kitty Cat Beast. I hated. I like some quietly stuff, but I hated that. But that's what I mean, D-Bud. Tuska inked. You're a fan, and that's cool. Look, hey, was it Tomorrow's Publications did a book about the art of George Tuska. A lot of people love his stuff, and Steve Mitchum. I love Marie Severin. She was not only a great Hulk artist. Yeah, she did a lot of other stuff. Now I love John Severin too, and they're just both amazing. Oh yeah, Tuska again. Tuska Robbins was from the Golden Age as well. Don Heck, almost all these guys that you saw on these interiors of these comics throughout the Bronze Age were guys that have been working in the business 20 years or more, 30 years in some cases. Oh, cool. You got that art of George Tuska? There you go. Hell, look, they even did a book about, and I love Tomorrow's. I just got the new issue of Back Issue. By the way, it's hilarious. They've got much of the issues devoted to the old Hostess Fruit Pie and Twinkie ads. I love it. I love Back Issue Magazine's the best. I love it. I love all the Tomorrow's stuff. They're great. But Tomorrow's did one. Look, they've done it. You name the artist, they've done a book about them, just about it, or the old school anyway, or will. We'll never get a Jim Aparo book, unfortunately, but I would love to have one, but they can't do one. It's convoluted. Yes, Hungry Boy, and Marie Severin also did Not Brand X. I mean, her brother John was a great artist also. Yeah, so anyway. And that's, of course, she made Herb Trimpe look different from anyone else, though. And there's some Marie Severin art on the interior of this one with a Gil Kane cover on the subby. And you got to love that. So, and this is one, man, if I were as a kid, I would have been all over this one, because Subby and Human Torch meetings, just, on that cover, it's all you've ever needed to sell me. And this is interesting that Mark D with a C puts here. Today in Star Trek history, Star Trek Power Records comic artist Russ Heath was born. Wow. Russ Heath was one of the greats. My favorite thing by Russ Heath, because I know he did some Star Trek comics, but Russ Heath's work, well, he did a lot of war comics and things like that, but his work on the Tarzan strip he did a lot of great Tarzan art. Marie on Trimpe was almost like Austin on Byrne, tightening everything up and making things sharp. Yeah, I mean, again, and I love Herb Trimpe, but let's face it, let's just be honest about it, because I'm a big fan. But he kind of just was doing Kirby a little bit, which is fine. If you're going to rip someone, rip the best. But, He's kind of has a Kirby type of style to it. Yeah, Marie Severin was one. They got Two Morrows has got a book about her. I didn't order it yet, but it went down really cheap. It's like $10 or something. I plan to order. I keep forgetting I got to order that book. It's really great. I mean, she's amazing. She's one of the. Again, you hate to even bring this kind of thing into it, but it's the times we live in. What a wonderful lady, female comic book artist that doesn't get a lot of recognition. Probably the best of them all, or one of them, as far as female comics artists, if it has to even be boiled down to that anyway. We got some Kirby going on here, of course. Kirby alert. Some Jimmy Olsen, Fourth World stuff going on. Enough said, of course, for that one here. Still in week 2. A little bit of an Adams cover. And I accidentally put Gaspar Soledano's name because I wasn't paying attention. He was just a letterer, folks, but still. Well, he did some art, but but yeah. And by the way, Frank Robbins only did story in some of these. There were some comics, but I remember when he wrote the first Man-Bat story, but he didn't really create the character that much. Frank Robbins, did not touch any of this with pencils. It's funny, Irv Novik's Batman never did much for me. But he was perfect for Flash. Something about him. A lot of people didn't like Novik that much, but I really loved his run on Flash. Again, another thing I didn't know, how he was pretty old at the time. So, there we go. Some World's Finest by the great Dick Dillon with a wonderful Swanderson cover. Actually, a rushed Swanderson cover, but that's okay. Some more Gil Kane greatness here. Nothing like a Gil Kane cover, man. Just incredible. Just incredible. I always liked Kazar. Did anyone read that early 80s Kazar series by Brent Anderson, by Bruce Jones and Brent Anderson? That after a few issues it went direct sales. That was a really good comic. More Gil Kane greatness on this cover. Loved this Conan. Phenomenal. Of course, the interior by Barry Smith before he became Barry Windsor Smith. Oh, man, streaming from ER again, but Mom is awake and stable. I'm glad to hear that, your Muslim uncle. Prayers and thoughts from everyone here. Wishing your wonderful mom the best, my friend. Dude. Best wishes to you both. Best wishes to you both. D-Bud, how many covers weren't Gil Kane this month? Not many. He was, man, I mean, they had him. At that time, look, they were churning out a lot of books. They didn't have time for their interior artist to even ink his own stuff, much less do the covers. And they knew some guys were just fast and really good because they didn't just need speed. They needed someone to make a really, and a pretty compelling cover. And that's why you have certain guys who can, and certain guys that will let them draw the inside. But, you're going to try to get Kane to do the cover. If you got Kirby there, you're going to get Kirby to do the cover. Or you're going to get John Romita to do the cover. And a few other people. But, yeah, there's some guys who just really, some of these editors would say, look, I want to get a good cover out of this. We got that covers the first thing they see in a comic book. So that takes us out of week 2 and on to week 3. And in week 3, let's get some Justice League going. Some Neil Adams cover, bunch of reprints in there. And they were also, even in comics that were, had an original front story, they used to sneak a lot of reprints in there. The JLA. I love you. These are just such good times, folks. These are just such good times. You know, you're a kid, you see these things, the wonder that you experience, and you see these superheroes, you look up to them. They're special. Their adventures are, made for one reason only, for pure fun. Capture your imagination. I just, hey, Kal-El. Kal-El, good to see you. I didn't see you pop in here. Yes. Phantom Outsider, that's true. DC, especially with Justice League, but they've done it with other ones. But yes, the roll call covers. I do like that. That was always kind of a DC stick, it seemed like, for the most part, with the heads on the covers. This has always been a pretty interesting cover, use of colors and everything by Adams. And here we are, D-Bud, like you were saying about Kane. It didn't take us long into week 3 to get Gil Kane, you would think, to get a Gil Kane cover. We haven't seen one yet. I'm betting each week is going to have at least one. But it's interesting about this, of course, X-Men was all reprints at this point. But this cover, all the research I did on it says it was by the great Bill Everett. And I think it was. Of course, obviously, at this point, Bill Everett was getting old. I'm not sure how long, I can't remember when he passed away now, but this cover, everything I could dig up on it said it was by Bill Everett. And, maybe the artist, and Janet from Another Planet, great to see you, my dear. Thank you for being here. Maybe the artists back then working on these Bronze Age covers I love Bronze Age cover from the way it's set up. I bet they had to draw a much smaller image, as you can see, to fit into those borders, so you could have your logo and your indicia and you got all your info and your logo and all that stuff, and even a figure up there and titles and everything. Great to see you, Janet. I hope you're doing well, my dear. Yes, Everett worked until he was very old. I know that. And yes, Skywald and Warren. Skywald. Some of those Skywald mags are pretty funny to see, though. But yes, a Bill Everett cover on it. Who'd have thunk it, right? But they were getting him work as much as they possibly could at that point, all over the place. And now we're back to some great Kirby in the fourth world here in week 3 of September. And even has a Boy Commandos reprint in it by Simon and Kirby. So, gotta love it. Bop, bop, bop. Let's see here. And we've got some Swanderson cover here on Superman 244. Let's see here. Then it's about time we got to the FF. About damn time. It's been a while since I've read this one, but I remember being kind of silly because Diablo was kind of silly. Let's just be honest. I don't know. Still love it. But I think I remember this being a pretty silly story. Well, it was the 70s. We're all silly, but you know what I mean. Yeah. This has an Adams cover. There's even a Bill Everett reprint in it. It's the first appearance of Werewolf by Night. But man, Mike Ploog, that guy was incredible. Freaking incredible. What a great artist. And it's criminal that he didn't do more comics. I know he went on to work in the movie industry doing storyboards and stuff. Of course, he didn't do this cover, so I don't have any examples of his work on right now. I should probably try to find some. In fact, you know what? Let's find some Ploog art to look at. I bet we could find some. He didn't do a lot, but Mike Plug, just to give you an example, I loved his Monster of Frankenstein comic. Let's find some Mike Plug art to look at because that's what we're here to talk about, comics with me. I bet I could find some good he was just phenomenal. Yep, Jack Russell. They named a werewolf Jack Russell. C. Mitchum says, Clobberin, we're friends on Facebook. Yes, we are. Why? Yes, we are, sir. What do you mean? Anyway, let's see here. That would fact check true. Yes, we are, sir. Let's see here. Let's find some of us. Oop, let me get rid of this. Oh, I thought you said you and me, buddy. Plug, okay. Wow. Cool, man. I love Plug. He's amazing. There you go. Okay. That's excellent. Oh, yeah. Plug for the Wizards. Well, there you go. I could just put Wizards on there, I guess, and it'll come up. But let's Mass the Gathering there. Magic the Gathering. Anyway, this guy, he did some great comics. The few he did now. I want to look, but what I really love by him the most is his Monster of Frankenstein. I still have all of those somewhere. Frankenstein. Man. Love that cover. There you go. Yeah, Mike Plug was fantastic. Great artist, and should have done more. And we're probably getting fairly close to in the time machine to seeing some of his comics hit the Clobberin Time spinner rack there. So what can you do? Anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to look at some Plug art. Sorry, everyone. Just I don't know. Just popped in there. Where were I? Oh yeah, we were on. And then we're back to some reprints. Marvel Tales reprinting some great Ramita Spidey, and that's always fantastic. And we're back. And some nice reprints from Marvel. It was always it was a tongue twister this time. Special Marvel Edition #4. I'm convinced that somebody just said they were going to call it Marvel Special Edition, and they couldn't use it for whatever reason, or someone got the typeset wrong, got it backwards. I don't know. Maybe I should say convinced. And something that's weird, D-Bud? Look, not one Kane cover in week 3. Wow, not one. I'm shocked. But we do have a lot of nice covers, though, especially this nifty, Nick Cardy cover. And Nick Hardy's another one right up there with Kane with one as one of the great, comic book cover artists of them all. So can't go wrong with that. Then you get week 4. We have a cover by George Wilson, probably. You always say probably because it's very difficult to find the paint. It's usually most of your painted, many of your painted gold key covers are George Wilson. He was prolific and he was very talented. Well, we could see one of those there, Hungry Boy, in the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, like right now. Ask and you shall receive. Yeah, I bought some of the, it was Lois Lane. I didn't really buy it that much, but see, they would stick Superman on the cover. They didn't have to do it on the Kirby Jimmy Olsen's that much. They was on a couple, but on Lois Lane, her own title, it's called Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane, but they had to put Superman on the cover. I mean, they just had to. And you can't bring them. But blame them now. I always wondered why Jane would allow her son to be named Korak. I remember when she let one of the apes name her because she threatened her. The ape threatened her, I guess. Twilight Zone comic. George Wilson. Probably George Wilson cover. Yep. Lynn Wein, Jack Sparling. I mean, some of these guys, well, they got work where they can get it, didn't they? And then we're back at the big time heavy reprint territory. Here's Strange Adventures, number 233. With a nice Infantino cover. Looks like I think I forgot to write the cover artist on there, but I think I may actually have this one. I have a pretty big Superboy collection of Superboy, but I have some gaps. But I would like to get them all. We'll go if I ever could go back. I would go back and collect all of them if I, one of these days. But yeah, then there was we're still in week 4, folks. Some reprints and some news stories and reprints in this Action Comics 406. With another nifty Swanderson cover of Spooky one. In fact. Oh boy, Bob Oxner. I don't know why they let him pencil anything, to be honest, but yeah. Remember when Supergirl couldn't decide on her costume back in the 70s? And that was a terrible one, I thought. I was never a big DC fan. No, really, I love me some DC. I thought you're I knew you were kind of. I guess I didn't know whether you were a Marvel guy or not, D-Bud, but there you go. You're a Marvel guy. But I do love Adam Strange also. I love him. I love the guy. We're still out of Kane covers, dude. Not a Kane cover yet. In 2 weeks in a row, no Kane covers. What is this all about? But you do have an Adams cover that I think was probably messed around with by some other artists, and they didn't put them in the research. And then, of course, the Microbots. I just put this one for the fun of it because I think my 21 self would have trouble resisting this silly cover and this goofy comic. I don't know why. And so. And today, folks, but that video's out there now. I'm just talking about September. But anyway, I just wanted to do a brief recap of that. Now, what I'll do quite quickly is quick rundown of September, and then we'll open it up. Let me share. Oops. Where you at? Oh, okay. Oh, sharing thing. Sorry. So see what we got going on here. Yeah. And like I said in my wrap-up videos for each one of these ones, here we are in September 71 here. There's so many. Look, I just went with, what I love. I went with the books that I know that I would have wanted now, and I would have wanted then, even mostly then, but even now. I combined my 1971 7-year-old self with my today self 50 years later. And as you can see, there are a lot of titles. It's just astonishing to me how many titles there were back then. And I never was, look, Charlton, look at how many books Charlton had out there. Attack, Beetle Bailey, Billy the Kid, then Blondie. They were all over They have a Boogaloos comic. Does anyone even remember the Bugaloos? I know some of you old timers do. Cheyenne Kid. They had a lot of they combined, Charlton was huge. Now again, back then you didn't get a lot of these on the newsstands in the spinner racks down here where I was. Distribution was just very different. It was spotty. I hear you there, Gomer. And you know what? That's a good point. I'll probably redo a show I did a while back showing all my favorite characters in order. Got me into trouble last time. But again, so just on their top row alone, they have war comics, humor comics, Western comics, TV show-based comic, and, again, more war comics. So, you got Bugaloos, Cheyenne Kid, Fighting Army, Fighting Marines, Geronimo Jones, Ghostly Hunts, Ghostly Tales, Hanna-Barbera Parade. It's just the first line, folks. Haunted, I Love You, Just Married. So almost the top 2 rows are all Charlton comics. Then we get Harvey. Harvey's got Little Dot. Then we go right back to Charlton again. Love and Romance, Love Diary. Finally get to Gold Key. The first one I had on my list, we got a Gold Key. Magnus Robot Fighter, which was on my list. And then back to Charlton. Charlton had TV tie-ins. People don't realize that. It wasn't just the big 2 that used to get those TV deals. And the Partridge Family. Any of you buy the Partridge Family comic book? The Bugaloos. There's the song. The Bugaloos, they're in the air and everywhere, flying high, flying loose, easy as a summer's breeze. I knew you would remember the Bugaloos. Are you a Sid and Marty Krofft fan, Phantom Outsider? Then we got some Skywall books, Doug. Hungry Boy, Skywall Mag, back to Gold Key, Star Trek. Skywall. Could they do this today? The Skywall ones, Psycho, Star Trek, back to Charlton with Sweethearts, MF Enterprises. That guy was a weirdo. I'm going to get into that dude. Tales from the Tomb. More romance comics from Charlton and Teenage Love. Time for Love. Again, another TV tie-in with Underdog. More MF Enterprise, Weirdo Mags, MF Enterprises, Weird. I believe you, dude. I'm not kidding when I say this. I would buy all of the Harvey comics. They were fun to read, and when you were a kid, and I still love Hot Stuff. Hey, there's no shame in that. By the way, that is a good point, Hungry Man. I'm glad you realized. I'm glad you brought that up. It is a Boris cover, so we should show it and give it its due. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Hungry Man, do you have any of those Skywald bags? Just curious. Yeah. Now, then we got weird. We got some more MF, these weird old mags, witches tales rather. Of course, Daredevil, a couple of books that I already picked up. Daredevil, DC Special and Fear, and Marvel Triple Action. And then you got Marvel, Millie the Model reprints. We got some DC and Our Army at War. Look how long it took us to get to the Marvel and DC books, though. A couple of Marvels that I picked up, a bunch of Marvels I picked up in a row, and then you're right back to Charlton with the Flintstones series. I got a buddy of mine, by the way. You're not the only one there, D-Bud. I got a good buddy of mine. He's a collector. He's been on the show with me before. He buys all of those. He would buy every one of those Charlton books I'm mentioning and the Harvey books, all those stuff. He would buy, and he probably has most of those, not all of them. Oh, wow. Cyclone. Dude, Hungry Boy, I'm sorry. Wow. And then we're getting DC Ghosts, another Marvel that I did pick up, then some Archie, the Losers, I Fighting Forces, the Losers comic, of course, with that DC, some more Archie books, Reggie and me, some more books that are on my list. I came close to get. I'm kind of ashamed that I didn't get Son of Tomahawk. Well, Tomahawk. We'll put Son up there. It's really Tomahawk 137 by DC. Then we're finally some more Gold Key with Walt Disney's Comics and Stories, a Marvel Western reprint, Western Kid #1. DC gets into the romance game with Falling in Love. Then a couple comics that I did pick up, a bunch, and then back to a Marvel reprint with the Outlaw Kid, and another Marvel reprint, the Rawhide Kid, and then you got some Harvey books, some for you there, D-Bud, Bunny. You got Devil Kids. I know you like hot stuff, so. Finally, a Warren mag. What about that? A Warren mag, everyone. Yeah. Eerie. I don't know about you guys. I would pick up the Warren mags and never buy them. I would pick them up at the drugstore stand where they had like the stand rather than just the spinner rack. And I would pick these up and flip through them. And they never got me really to buy them. Even when I would pick, I knew I couldn't get away with buying Vampirella, not in the house I lived in. But I'd still look at Vampirella on the rack. And which is not, we don't have a Vampirella book in this lot, but still. But I would look at Eerie and Creepy and look at those mag. I did like Rook. But yeah, I would look at those and I would never pick them up. Then we got Little Dot, back to Harvey again. Little Dot, Richie Rich, Sad Sack Sarge, Army Life, the Sad Sack's Army Life, rather, Sad Sack, all these Sad Sack comics. Spooky, Spooktown. Some Harvey going on, some Casper Harvey. I mean, this is when comics really, really mattered because you had this kind of variety, and they weren't, they knew this is when kids still cared about comic books, folks. Let's just be honest. Now, was there any competition for this? No. The trick was to buy those mags and then have your best pal, a Protestant, have them in his house. There you go, Hungry Boy. See, there you go. Steve Mitchum, same deal. I didn't buy any non-hero comics either. But look, people that did, that's perfectly fine. Hungry Boy, I love Eerie and Creepy. There you go. I looked at them. D-Bud, yes, Doomcock does do a great rendition, excuse me, of Underdog. Speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting all who rob our thunder. He does. He's and I don't, but he does. He's great. Yeah. Hail Doomcock. Let's see here. More Again, more Harvey and Gold Key, Daffy Duck, Roadrunner, and then some of the ones I picked up, and then back to some Gold Key Disney comics with and Walt Disney, then a Walter Lantz, Woody the Woodpecker, DC Romance, DC for Dark Mansion of Forbidden Love, FF, more Gold Key, DC House of Mystery. I was just into the superheroes, folks. I mean, I didn't, at the time, and even now, I probably wouldn't buy those comics, some of those. But hey, I respect those who do, because this was just when there was a healthy, thriving comic book industry. It was better times. Yeah, Huckleberry Hound and Little Kids by Marvel. Even Marvel tried. Look, see all these kids comics and all these comics aimed at that sort of thing, like Richie Rich and all that stuff. Little Kids. That's Marvel trying to go out to that market. Some more Marvel books that I get. Now, here's a Marvel book I didn't get, even though it's a reprint book. I probably could have. Monsters on the Prowl, a lot of reprints. A Marvel Love comic. Again, everyone's got to get into the game. Marvel see, Marvel do, and vice versa. Let's see here. Quick Draw McGraw. Yeah. Charlton. Man, Charlton was huge at that point. Jeez. Charlton had look at all the TV properties, cartoons based mostly, but not all, that Charlton had. And of course, there's Warren. I mean, you got to pay tribute to the great Forrest Ackerman with Famous Monsters of Filmland. I bought that a lot. I mean, when I was a little bit older. At this age, when this was coming out, I probably didn't. In fact, no, I didn't. But still, Famous Monsters, definitely deserves a shout out. Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Let's see here. Bugs Bunny, but got some Gold Key now. It's funny how Gold Key, Harvey, and Charlton was fighting for all those lucrative TV properties. Because at the time, I know Bugs Bunny started in movies, but he was all over TV, so. Yeah, what's up, Doc? And again, Gold Key again. I definitely got those. A couple more comics that I bought. And one I probably would have, Weird War Tales. I probably should have got. I would. My 2021 self might have grabbed that one. DC Young Love. I know you all would have wanted that one. Charlton again with the Jetsons. I'm flabbergasted by all the TV tie-in comics here at that time. And if it was a TV cartoon and even other shows, but especially cartoons, there was a comic. It seemed like Archie. Harvey was gigantic. So was Charlton, man. Archie. And we'll show this a Warren magazine from my buddy Hungry Boy. That's a Ken Kelly cover, man. He was obscure. Yeah. I agree with you about Famous Monsters, A Hungry Boy, but I did like it. I mean, for a while, but when it wasn't just the horror stuff, because they started branching out. But Starlog was better, to be honest, when it comes to that kind of coverage, though. More girls' love stories. Josie and the Pussycats, Pep, a lot of Archies. Another some DC books I picked up. One DC book that I almost did, unexpected, but I didn't. And of course, a line of a few that I did pick up. And then in the final stretch, Gold Key, Where's Huddles, DC Heartthrobs. And then I picked up Microbots from Gold Key. Then the last three, Smokey the Bear, Three Stooges, and Walt Disney's Comics and Stories. That's a lot of comics, folks. That is a lot of damn comics. And hey, it just, like I said, just goes to show you that there were just big stuff back then. It was a huge industry and a huge medium. Yes, Hungry Boy, he was excellent. Yes, it is time for any question that anyone has. It is question and answering the segment of our Clobby'S Comics Corner stream. If you have a question, Pat S., or if anyone has a question, and I know that some of you will be really good at asking questions that I won't know the answer to make me look like even more of an idiot. But I trust you all to be able to do that. By the way, especially Phantom. Under 20? Wait, Phantom Outsider. The answer, Steve, is 42. Are you saying and you can buy them all for $20? I mean, they're cheap, but could you really I don't know if you can buy all of those titles for $20. You know, I should have thought of that though. That's a good point. I should have added up the prices of all those comics to see what it would have cost you. Because you didn't get discounts. Well, I'm going to give you a discount at my shop, of course. Let's see here. Kal-El says, Clobby, just curious, did you ever collect the comics based on Batman the Animated Series? I did. Batman Adventures. I used to buy that all the time, including I love the Mad Love comic that came out that was actually not an adaptation either. But it was before. I mean, it was before they adapted that comic. But I did. I liked it. Was it Kelly Puckett or somebody wrote a lot of those or whatever? But Denny and Tim wrote some of them. Al Burnett maybe wrote some. I don't know. But yes, I like that series, Kal-El. Of course, I love Batman the Animated Series. Have you read many comics involving Korak, the son of Conan? You mean son of Tarzan? You may have popped in a little bit late, but actually, I've read a few, and of course, I've read some books. But in week 2 of Clobby'S Comics Corner, this videos that we're backtracking here, there was a Korak issue, a gold-keyed Korak. If you're referring to Korak, son of Tarzan. Because, yeah, Korak is Tarzan's son, not Conan's, but coincidentally, I have. Now, I don't have this issue. What this is, if you're not familiar with it, I'm bringing a time machine back 50 years and showing all, picking 10 of each week of the comics that came out. And I'm doing a series of videos on that, Mr. Grant Gregory. And tonight's just to kind of wrap up talking a little bit more about those videos. But so I have. But it's Tarzan though, not Conan. I can't I don't think there were any comics about Conan's son if he even had one. I'm a big Conan fan, but I can't really remember if he had a son. Probably did. Hungry Boy says, from your retailer days, what was the comic or comics you were most proud to sell to people? Man, that was a tough one because there were so many when I started. Even before I worked in 3 different shops, Hungry Boy. Actually 4, but I think it's 4, maybe 5. But I mean, I helped start the first one in the early 81, 82 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It was called Southland Comics. I was running that for someone else, and then down the road, in 81, 88, I opened my own shop for a few years in Baton Rouge also. Between that, I think I ran a friend shop for a little while, but then later I ran a different friends in New Orleans for years, worked with him, and I was BSI Comics throughout the good bit of the early 90s. So what was the comic or comics you're most proud to sell people? It's tough because there's so many good ones, especially back then. I would have to think about if single out and it could end up with a list of 50. But what I would say is, I think oh man, I love the question, and yet I have trouble answering it. But I was very excited about the Wolverine, the Claremont, and I wasn't even a big Wolverine guy. I know that's evil to some people. The Wolverine miniseries, Claremont and Miller, was one of the big ones. Right when my first shop, when I first started working in a shop, that was really, really, we were all really excited about. Obviously, selling things like getting people interested in Judge Dredd in the early 80s when I got interested in him. and getting people interested in John Sable and some of the at the time in the early '80s, some of the independent comics, and of course in Legion at that time, which was resurrecting and getting really good again with the Great Darkness Saga era. New Teen Titans would be one at that time when it started hitting big in the early '80s. Getting people interested in that, just getting anyone interested in a comic that I was excited about. That's not getting them in, getting people into Miller's Daredevil at the time that I've been talking about a little bit earlier. I tell you what, one that stands out is The Death of Captain Marvel by Jim Starlin, the first actual, and it's a real graphic novel, not a trade paperback compilation. It's a real one. At that shop I was working at in the early '80s, getting people interested in that. So I know it's probably not a great answer for you because so much, but yes, I was all anything. If anyone that and I guess it sounds goofy. Anyone that I recommended a book, I only recommended it to them if I really liked it. I never tried to hype anything just because I was trying to sell it. And if they turned out to really like it, it always made me feel good. I can tell you that. And so I was proud to sell people any comic that they really enjoyed. You can say what you want about Batman the Killing Joke. It was the first week I opened up my 1988 shop. It was that very first week that comic came out, and I ordered big time on it. And we were as excited about that comic as we were any other comic. Yes, you can look back on it now and tear it to pieces in some ways because it had great art, but that was one. And I've had people, I bumped into guys at comic shops over the past 10, 15 to 20 years that have on a couple different occasions told me that when they were a kid, they came to my shop and bought that comic book from me, including one guy who told me, I'm a Batman fanatic because of you. I said, what do you mean? This was like maybe 8, 9 years ago. I walked into a shop 10 years ago, and he was working in this the local comic shop. The guy who owns it used to buy comics from me, but he was working for the guy, and he asked who I was because he said he'd heard my name before. And he said, well, you're the reason I'm here. I said, what do you mean? And he said, I was really young and I wanted to buy Batman the Cult and Batman the Killing Joke. And because you said I'd have to get my mother's permission and she was out in the car, you brought me out to the car and made her give permission for me to buy those 2 comics from you. And I was floored. But I was like, obviously I would remember him. He was a kid. I'm old. And that was a few years before that at the same shop. Another guy was telling me how, and this guy in a 3-piece suit that was like, looked like fancy. I don't know if he was a lawyer or whatever he was. He was telling me how when he was a kid, his first exposure to Batman, what made him a Batman freak, was his dad brought him to this comic shop, and he said the really cool guy in there sold me a couple of Batman T-shirts and gave some Batman comics. Sold my dad that I would get interested in, and this was right before the Batman movie of 1989 came out. That was my shop he was talking about. When he's telling me this, I didn't at first. It started sounding familiar. When he started describing more of it, I was like, "Holy shit, that was me." That's happened to me a few times. So, without giving specific instances, those are 2 times that made me really proud because I helped create a couple of geeks, and I've heard that I made friends with a lot of guys over the years that were a lot younger than me that bought comics from me at some point, and then later told me, and then I'd be like, "Wow, you were a kid. I can't remember you." So I guess that's not exactly the answer that you're looking for there. But I guess that's about as close as I can get to answering it. Hungry boy. So I hope that well, I know that was a long answer and I'm sorry about that. But the great Pat S says, I don't know if you saw, but today Mrs. Benson released her plans with the Saints. She should team can only be sold to people who will keep the Saints in New Orleans. Well, you know me, I'm out of football now because it broke my heart. But I hear you, and I'm glad for you, those of you who are still into it. I wouldn't want them gone because I have too many friends that still care. So, no problem there, Mr. Grant Gregory. I hear you. Let's see. See if we have any more questions. Wolverine is my seventh on my list, Clobby. I'll go down with you on yeah. I hear you there. Well, hello there, Cam Cam. Welcome. It's good to see you. Let's see. Well, thank you, Hungry Boy. I appreciate that, sir. And it was a convoluted answer but it's a tough one. But I like the tough questions. If you were to sell comics in the 90s, what about sell Astro City? Astro City is one of my all-time favorite comics ever, as you know, because I never shut up about it. And I did a show about it last year, of course, when it was the 25th anniversary. So if you were to sell comics in the 90s, what about... Again, it never feels like selling to me if I'm even whether I'm running the shop or just happen to be standing around that shop. If it's a comic I'm excited about, I can sit there. I don't feel like I'm selling it to you, even though I probably am, and you might end up reading it and say it sucks. But if I'm really excited about it, I can go on about it forever and try to hopefully paint a good enough picture for you to get where I'm coming from that you might find it interesting. I hope that's the case. And I dearly love Astro City, so yeah, I never shut up about it, Pat. Steve Mitchum, your words are too kind, buddy. We had so much fun there, and you were part of it, man. Appreciate you, bro. Love those times. Thank you, Hungry Boy. I appreciate that. Punk Waddle, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Steve Mitchum, have a great night, brother. Appreciate you, bro. Take care, bud. Did I miss any questions? Because how wonky this chat is, everyone. I don't know if you have any more. But I hope I didn't. Janet. What are you doing tonight, Janet? Are you having fun tonight? I hope you are. Well, I mean, it's only Wednesday night, but I hope you're having fun doing something out there. D-Bud says, it was a lot easier selling comics when I liked most of them. As comics get darker in the 90s, I didn't care for them. The 90s really was a big turnoff for me. Mark D, that's right, bro. Almost all of the best friends I've ever made have been through comic shops and or other geek venues. Geeks of a Feather and all that stuff. And just had so many wonderful times at either my shop or someone else's. Just the best. Janet, well, I hope, if you're in bed, that's perfect because I put everybody to sleep on this show. So you're in the perfect spot for it. But I hope you will sleep well, and I hope you're doing well. And it's always lovely to see you. We like it when the lady pops in here and makes us think like, hey, we're guys. So love you, Janet. Thank you for popping in. Let's see. Matthew Pounder, what's up, dude? There you go. Pat S. Maybe I can make that happen one day. Okay, good. I'm glad you're here, Janet. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Gomer says, my childhood comic shop is still open. And the DD and the Pokemons have kept them alive. D&D and Pokemons. What, no magic cards alive? But it isn't the same shop from my 80s and 90s. No, none of them are. None of them are. That's for sure. Phantom says, $15.25 gets you all the books up. The Spotlight Werewolf Bite. Are you kidding me? Wow. Of course, they are low cover prices. But I should have done that. Phantom Outsider, I'm gonna credit you with the idea, but I think next time maybe I'll add all those up. Now, again, tax varies from city to city. Maybe I will add those up and see what the whole price would be to buy them all. And I'll give you credit for the idea because I didn't really think of that. You know how senile I am at this point. Uh, yeah, I met them all. Listen, every single lifelong friend I have had, with the exception of one from the fourth grade, who I met in the fourth grade, obviously, that I'm still friends with, in contact with, who calls me drunk at 3 a.m. sometimes to call me names and stuff. And, you know, so we've been friends for so long. Have been comic shops. A few of them have been either like Doctor Who and other type of fan geek gathering groups that were in town, or cons. And then later into the internet age, the 2000s and such, I have met a lot of great ones online, like many of you wonderful people. I'm meeting you online, and we're all, you know, geeks of a feather. Some of which, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, some I met online and become really close with, and some even met them in real life in a few cases. So the internet brings us together like nothing before, you know, but rather than a chance meeting at the comic shop, then, you know, that you start bumping into each other. The local comic shop here, which I rarely go to much anymore, that guy who has that one, you know, he bought comics for me in the 80s, but I just don't buy that much. Yet I did buy a lot of comics from him, and most of the people that go to that one, and they're closer to my age range, ballpark, once a month until the coof, we stopped for a while, and we've gotten back to doing it again. The last Wednesday of every month, we get together and go to the Bistro Italia and just hang out and have dinner and geek out there. We've been doing that for years now. And it's all geeks from various, you know, that we've known each other from various shops and stuff like that. And it's good Italian food too. There's a comic shop in New Orleans that makes more money selling old toys and t-shirts than comics. Are you talking about More Fun at DC, or are you talking about Crescent City with Les and those guys, or is BSI still there? I think Media Underground that's sold, but someone else has got it. So I know there are about at least 4 or more shops there, Pat S. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, though, bud. There's talk of a Melissa, I keep seeing in the chat there. Anyone I know? There's a comic shop in New Orleans. There's the song. There is a comic shop in New Orleans. They call the rising sun of Krypton. It's been the sun. Never mind. But I got the joke there. I like it. Well done, hungry boy. Well played, sir. That's nuts. Oh my goodness. So upcoming shows. Let's see here. We'll I think we've done pretty much on the Comics Corner. Oh, this was again. This is not really comics related, but it's geekness. And I should say it, I guess. Oh, Crescent City. Okay. Yeah, that's a lesson capping those guys. I know them quite well, Pat S. Known them for a long time. And I don't they have 2 locations at this point, or maybe they're not anymore, but they used to. And Crescent City Comics used to be way down by the Delgado or whatever it was. One of those not Delgado. What campus was that near? Well, I can't remember the campus. It was one of the campuses. Oh, I got you, Gomer. I hear you now. So yeah, I would just like to say a few words about reboots. I know it's not comics related, but we've covered the comics. J. Michael Straczynski, have you lost your ever-loving goddamn mind? Yeah, I used to be by Loyola. That's right. Thank you, Pat. Yeah. Crescent City Comics. So, good shop. Or at least it was. Been there a while since I've seen it, but they're nice guys. A remake of Babylon 5. Are you out of your friggin' mind? Why? On CW, no less. On the Cringe Woke Network. I mean, look, it's not that I'm going to watch it. Not that I would watch it anyway. So why should I care? You ask, and that would be a good question. Why should I give a shit? Because what hasn't been remade at this point, it's all either been done or going to be done. A goddamn B5 remake. Go screw. JMS. Look, I love Babylon 5. JMS has written some really shitty comics. I mean, he's written a couple that I like, but for the most part, he's done a lot of crappy comic books, in my opinion. And Matthew, you're probably right. He said he wouldn't do it. Now he's doing it. Must be hard up. And you know what? We should all probably develop the attitude of not even caring anymore. But it's not like I'm going to watch it and go, "Oh man, it's just such a disappointment. I really wish they'd done it." But no, it's dead on arrival to me. It's an unbelievably horrible. Here's the thing about reboots: when people say, "Well, give it a chance, you never know." No, I do know. Even if this wasn't this horrific age we live in of woke garbage that trashes everything it touches, I was hating remakes before everything was just. It was just a given that it was going to be remade and everything was going to be, wokeified, if you will. So use it, but please don't tell Raquel that I keep using that word. It's a non-word, and she is the grammar police. So, but the excuse you're going to hear a lot from the apologist of this thing will be, well, look, it's not like it's Jar Jar Abrams or Hack Snyder or one of these other dickheads. He's the guy that created it. He can reboot it. You know what? That's true. He can. That's true. Fact check true. He did create the original. So which makes it even more mind-boggling. It almost feels better when it's some numbnuts who didn't create it, some talentless jackass hack like Jar Jar Abrams or Hack Snyder or Michael Bay or fill in the blank of some jackass who has no respect and is remaking it. At least when it's that, you can go, well, that guy's a jackass. He doesn't care. This guy's doing it to his own creation. I'm not okay with it. I still love his work on Babylon 5. He's done some shitty comics, by the way. Just saying. But I still love Babylon 5. It has its faults. Not every episode is great. There are things I don't, there's no perfect TV show. Anything goes 5 years. Anything goes 5 episodes probably isn't perfect. But god damn it, man. Are you kidding me? Remake Babylon 5? A continuation that takes place in between certain years. Like Crusade did not work out very well, but at least it was an attempt to continue things. It's just, thank you, Janet. This kind of stuff really does get my blood up. I freaking hate it. This is absolute trash. To remake this is unconscionable to me. And the insult to the injury is being on the Cringe Woke Network. To be on the CW like that is disgusting. And we all know, look, there are going to be a lot of fun conversations about all the dumb shit they're going to do to it. And we can joke about it, but really, we still have the original true enough. And by the way, you better get that thing on physical. I have a feeling it's going to become, when they do a nice set of these remasters, and the remasters do look good, grab them if you're a B5 fan. Because this is crap. This is an insult to it by putting it on the Cringe Woke Network. And to me, it's just something even nastier that it's the guy who created the original. Okay. Again, a continuation may be good, maybe not good, but I can respect it a little bit more. But to be honest, he said everything he needs to say. True, Crusade could have lasted a little longer and could have been better. It wasn't very good, in my opinion. But god damn, screw you, Straczynski. Look, and to be honest, look, I've been on his back for a while about a lot of comics he wrote that were dog crap. But I still love Babylon 5, and I've respected the guy at least for that. And now he's going to take a dump all over his own friggin' creation. Yes, it's his to screw around with. But that somehow makes it feel worse to me. When it's some cultural vandal like Jar Jar friggin' Abrams, talentless piece of crap hack, that cultural locust that he is, at least it's somebody else. It's like a crime there, someone desecrating someone else's work. This is someone desecrating their own work. And there's no way, and the reason why I say that, you might go again, well, but you haven't seen it. First of all, we automatically know it's going to be cast like the casting's going to be terrible. Even if you can accept the remake, which I can't anyway, even if the casting were good, I won't accept it. We all know they're going to go for the most wokey casting ever. And he's just going to, what are you doing? You're going to change everything up anyway. It's done. What's done is done. Don't touch it. I mean, if he needs the money, what am I supposed to do? Begrudge the guy trying to make a living? I don't know. But it still aggravates me. Still just drives me friggin' nuts. Kalel says, Clobby, I know how you feel. Although not a remake, I felt the same way when I saw the Wing Commander movie directed by Chris Roberts, who also made the Stellar PC games. I hear you. I've never seen that, but look, when anyone has something that they love ruined by some jackass that doesn't care about it as much as you do, I'm with you. I really do understand, and I'm with you. And I feel for you because it's happened to me so many times. Matthew Pounder, his dialogue is terrible in comics because he doesn't study up on the characters or care about what went before with the characters. He's written some great comics, but never with an established character or hero. Oliver Belmonte, my college buddy Steven is looking for Astro City's Samaritan action figure. I have that one. That's kind of rare. You might be able to get it on eBay, though. They only did a couple figures from Astro City, Oliver, and I have them all. They did Samaritan. I think maybe only they did Confessor, and they did the Confessor with Alter Boy Confessor figure. I think they did those two. Oh, wow. I don't think they did another one. I think they may have only done those three, but I have all the ones they did, and they were planning other ones and didn't do them. But see if he checks eBay, he might be able to find, because no one really cares about those figures but me. So Oliver, get him to look for him. He might be able to find them. The CW is doing Babylon 5 is like Netflix doing Scooby-Doo. Yeah. I think he said Zathras is going to be Latinx trans female who is neurosexual and in love with the great machine. It doesn't say. You're kidding, though, right? That's a joke. See, Pat S., it's 2021, dude. If you joke like that, no one's going to. I can't tell if it's a joke or not. All that stuff will probably happen. I mean, now there's another thing. The wokesters have broken humor because you can make a joke that you're trying them to be silly or outlandish, and then it's true. Let's see here. 330 for the last 11, total 29. So all these books could have been yours. Wow, let's see. So under $30, 123 books, September 79. Thank you for crunching those numbers. Phantom Outsider, you are a superhero of numbers, sir. Wow. That's extraordinary. They're under $30. You could have bought, now I don't know what the tax is in your area, but let's just say you just ballpark it at $30 worth of comics for a whole month. Now you go into a comic shop right now, and not that you should buy any of that modern dross, but if you went in there and bought some of that modern crap, you probably get about, for $30 now, you can get about 5 or 6, 7 comics. Maybe not even that many. No, I take it back. You can probably get about 4 comics, 4 or 5, maybe. And that's assuming you get a decent discount from your comic shop. If you're buying cover price, these cover prices are $3.99 and $4.99, and such, and $4.99 and $5 something now. So yeah, That's right. At that point, they weren't charging. Are you sure they weren't charging tax in the store back then? That's a joke, but it's my last joke. I love Babylon 5, but with this new nonsense, I just refuse to play. I'm tapping out. No joke. No, I hear you. Look, I'm with you. Well, taxes didn't go on comics, but when you bought something from a store, they charged you taxes on stuff that I remember. Maybe it's a state tax thing or something. But anyway, Kyle said, I've abandoned every series on the Cringe Woke Network except for Superman and Lois. Well, I remember in all the stores I worked in, we had to charge tax on everything, but whatever. That's good. Well, there you go. Look, with my memory, I always trust you guys on stuff like that. Superman and Lois, Kal-El, I've watched it and enjoyed it okay. And you know what? So if I don't think about it, I'll go like months or weeks at a time completely forgetting it's out there. Because I just watch it on that Cringe Woke app. I don't have regular TV anymore. Got rid of my direct TV. So I forget about it. And a few episodes go by, people say, hey, finally, if someone mentioned, say, that new episode, that's still on? Okay. Because I have sort of liked it, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it's just not what I want out of Superman, but it's okay. I don't dislike it or anything. At least it's not intolerable, it's watchable. And a lot of people are really liking Stargirl now, so what can you do? So, well, there you go. I am going to start to wrap it up here tonight, folks, because I've just had just a great time hanging out with all of you tonight. And just kind of doing a little recap and just hanging out and a little recap on the videos I've been doing. And I've been enjoying doing those. Thanks all who have been watching my videos. And thanks all who are hanging out here. I just wanted to just do a basic little hangout with you guys and talk to you a little bit. I like doing that sometimes. When it's just yous and me's. Because, well, it's just the way it is. It's fun that way. And I guess I'll do some show notes. And we'll get you out of here. Let's see here. If you like JSA, Clobberin, watch that. Everyone's been telling me to watch it, but I'm usually kind of resistant to that sort of thing. Thank you, Eric K, brother. Appreciate you, buddy. Clobberin might be the only male I know from South Louisiana who hasn't worked in the oil industry, a shipyard, or drive a potato chip truck. I've driven many trucks, not a potato chip one, but I've delivered a lot of, periodicals and printed matter. Let's see, I've worked in an oil refinery, not in the industry necessarily, but security for it, and shipyard and some stuff like that. So close. But I was in the car business for a long time, various types and stuff like that, and various stuff. So, yeah. I guess that could be me, dude. There had to be one, right? Oh, well, thank you so much, Hungry Boy. I really appreciate you. I like that avatar, by the way. And you the man. I'm glad you're here. And thank you so much, Dark Shadow Logan. It is always a pleasure. I want to thank everyone who hung out with me tonight. Before I say my thank yous and goodbyes there, I'll just do a couple of little quick show notes. If all goes well, there will be a Global Geek Gang tomorrow. And Saturday night, Star Trek will happen. Of course, the wonderful, amazing Raquel Briggs and I will start out in our continuing mission. We'll continue our mission. That is, start out with season 3 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. 4 more episodes reviewed, and then Tuesday. Listen to me. Monday night at a special early time, 6 p.m. Central. the great J-Man will join me for part 5, closing out our series, our 5-part series, in the great comic team-up books. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see here. Who all was with me? The great Steve Mitchell was here earlier. The great, who was here? Well, of course. We should always go with ladies first. So the beautiful Janet from Another Planet. Janet, I love you. It's great to see you. Love you too. We're so happy to see you here and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you, my dear. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the night. Punk Waddle, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. The great Eric K. Chris Persia was here earlier. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it, buddy. Dark Shadow Logan. Always a pleasure, my friend. Cam. The great D-Bud Martin. I already said about Sam again. He's the great Eric K. is the bronze surfer. Gomer Kyle, thank you for being here. Kal-El, buddy. Always a pleasure. The amazing Phantom Outsider. The extraordinary Pat S, buddy. Thank you so much for being here, man. Hungry Boy, thank you. Thank you. The great Mark D with a C was here. Cam. Oliver Belmonte, thank you so much. Thank you both so much for being here tonight. Matthew Pounder, was great to see you here. I backtrack as much as I possibly can to find out who was here because, my memory, it's just terrible. I'm sure there's someone I may have missed. I am so sorry if I did. Terrible memory. There's someone who just popped in. John, let's see if I say Pontiero. I hope Pontiero. I'm so sorry I'm butchering that. But I want to thank you so much, John, for being here. I've never seen you here before in your name, and we always like to welcome newcomers. You are very welcome here, and I really, really appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. Like I said, I have it's difficult for me to remember all the names and stuff. I write them down on Saturday nights so we make sure everyone gets a shout out, though. Saturday Night Star Trek. So, yes, comics fans, in October, a couple of Daredevil shows, and and other things. And of course, thank you all for those who watched my video today. Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine. I know it says October on it, and it's still technically September, but thanks a lot for that. And in accordance with the Clobby'S Comics Corner, I will play us out with this wonderful outro. I keep saying outro. I'm sorry, Raquel. I know it's supposed to be extra. I just got used to saying that. I'm sorry. That she made for me. Good night, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening.